Okay, so I think I've got the message. England are good, but just not quite as good as New Zealand, as the All Blacks get another really close win. That's 3 in a row now, 22-24. But England, they'll go in absolutely gutted, kicking themselves because they got in a great winning position and couldn't get over the line. And we're going to get into this one, all the details in this match, so many talking points. And I'm really excited that these videos are supported by Sports News Blitz because they give young aspiring writers placements, internships, students who are really talented a chance to get into journalism. And I'm sure they'll be writing plenty about this game, so do check out them. They've got a podcast and a website, Sports News Blitz. You'll be hearing more about them. And the game starts with 2 ballsy plays, one from England with a crossfield kick. I mean, goodness me, it's dangerous, just over Clark's head, and one from New Zealand. Both of them actually are a negative result, but they're definitely trying to keep the opposition guessing, that's for sure. But the first running attack for England is really good, and I was pretty happy with the English attack. Lots of different options, really in their face. I was pretty happy with it. I think they need a couple more exciting attacking players like New Zealand have, and they'll be in there definitely. They scored a try in this game, although they could have scored a few more, but still, it looked pretty good. And Jamie George had another good game. We know he's not massively nimble, but goodness me, his line-out throws are fantastic. And England's launch plays were probably slightly better than New Zealand, really taking the ball flat to the line, lots of deception. Smith, Earl, Itoje all looking sharp, and Mara Itoje, like I said, when he's rested, he still looks world-class. And New Zealand gave away lots of tackles off the ball because they just don't know which runners to pick. Chandler Cunningham-South picking good lines, and they just have to mark him. So that's an early penalty, 3-0. Ben Spencer was picked for his massive box kicks, and we saw some good ones in this game, although early on just a little bit too long. But the new rule saying that you have to let the chasers a free path to the ball is making box kicks more dangerous again. So we're not going to see less kicks, we're probably going to see more, although there will be more competition. But a poor penalty given away by Emmanuel Faye-Boso, who actually had a pretty good game overall. It was unforced though, this one, and it actually results in a really good try from the man of the moment, Wallace Satiti, the new star of All Blacks rugby. Going to say it here, he's their most dangerous player. He is the new Ardie Surveyor in waiting, having his apprenticeship at Blindside, but he's going to go to 8 pretty soon. Goodness me, he's good. England are desperate to shut the door out wide, which they were all game. I'm a little bit torn on it. I'll talk about that more. But Freeman and Furbank go to tackle Satisi, but you've got to make sure you get all of him, and he still gets the offload, so that's a mistake. Genge, he gets caught out a couple of times. I'm not saying any other props would have done much better, but because he's slower than Mark Talaia out wide, he should just hair for the outside and let his inside defence cover him, but he didn't. He stopped and waited like a winger, and Talaia went, fine, you're not a winger, I'll just burn you, and score. So a couple of mistakes from Genge, although, again, I'm not really faulting him because other props wouldn't have done so well, but just a genius offload from Satiti, who is so special. Now, of course, after a try, your main job is just to exit nicely, but Rattimer kicks out on the full. I don't think Rattimer's starting position is going to be pretty solid. I think Roygaard will take it at some point when he's back to full fitness. But anyway, England's launch plays, like I said, excellent. And what I like from this one is they get their 2 most dangerous backs on the ball, one after the other. Ollie Lawrence making gain line, then Faye-Boso making more gain line, Martin continuing the momentum. So it's a really good attack until Will Stewart just stands still for some reason rather than taking the ball to the line. And New Zealand have a chance to reorganise, but they're guilty of another tackle off the ball, right in their face, England. Fair enough there. So that is 6-7. A really close game, as it was the whole game. Ben Spencer just gets caught playing the ball at the base of the ruck by Taylor, although I think that's a pretty tight call. But England's rush defence win it back, and their line speed was very good in this game. Genge tithing down Vai 10 metres behind the gain line, a good example in that attack there. On 60 minutes, it looks like New Zealand have launched really well off a scrum. Nice and tight, 4 runners to pick from. They go to Ioane, but Lawrence scrambles back and dislodges the ball nicely. So dangerous stuff from New Zealand, but good cover from England. One thing that was a big positive were the starting props for England. We were really worried that those guys, Genge and Stewart, might struggle, but they were really firm, and it was the replacement props Cole and Baxter, who really struggled. So well done for Genton Stewart holding firm against Williams, and Williams giving away some technical penalties, looks to have his feet a long way back, looks to go down a bit easily. On 80 minutes I make a note that New Zealand are desperate to pass out of their own half, maybe a bit too much, and also that they chip a bit shorter with their kicks and England kick a bit longer. So a few different tactics there, but Beauden Barrett finds grass a few times with some tricky kicks, and it nearly results in New Zealand breaks, but they can't quite make it stick, can't stay on their feet in the ruck, and they did give away far too many penalties. That's one thing that Robertson will not be happy about. But then the very sharp Atoje on 21 minutes does really well as he picks and goes through the middle. This is classic Atoje, spotting no one's at home. He's not the quickest these days, but it was a really good offload to Spencer. But Spencer slices the kick ahead, so some big chances for both sides, but they're kind of cancelling each other out. Emmanuel Fawebusu doing some good work in the air, but when it's broken play, New Zealand do look very dangerous, but they're giving away too many penalties. Off set piece, England look a bit better, making more gain line. Ben Earl an absolute beast, that's for sure, but I think those individual game breakers are just stepping up a bit. Satiti nearly carves it up again just before the half hour. But then we do get another try for New Zealand, and it's really sharp work from their backs. Beauden Barrett switches the play from open to blind. Martin doesn't really spot it, doesn't help out wrapping, and then they play a nice switch play, confusing Ellis Genge. Again, Genge caught out, but kind of in the wrong position at the wrong time. But Will Jordan just bursts through with great pace and scores. Really smart play from New Zealand. Looks a bit too easy, to be honest, a bit lumpy from the England forwards in defence, which is kind of what we feared at times. But on the half hour, another really good in-your-face attack from set piece from England. Is too much for New Zealand, and they have to commit to the tackle off the ball. The ref misses it, but the TMO doesn't. Look pretty obvious, but the TMO picks it up. And I like the way that Jamie George is communicating to the ref respectfully, but pointing out things he's missed. And New Zealand in yellow card trouble. England off for the points in some of these. Maybe they could have gone for the jugular, for the maul, which looked pretty decent, but anyway, they cut the lead to 5 points, 9-14. Will Jordan, like I mentioned, looking really sharp in attack and defence, some good high ball work, so he's nailing down that 15 shirt for sure. Then on 33 minutes, New Zealand do it again though. They try and run out of their own half, out of their 22, when they don't really need to, and England just push up, stay disciplined, and a massive tackle from Chandler Cunningham South blindsides Vai and forces the knock-on turnover. Then a second scrum penalty. This time it's Lomax at fault. They go from 47 metres. Could they go to the corner again? Maybe, but Smith pipes it. He's kicking really well, kicking well in the Premiership and bringing it into this game. So that's great to see. So that is 12-14, 2-point game. Just before half-time, England could go ahead because New Zealand are just giving away too many penalties. But Marcus Smith's drop goals are not looking good. His penalty kick's great. His drop goals are really ugly. They haven't got anywhere near. So it is 12-14 at half-time. Pretty close, a fair reflection I would say. England looking a bit leggy in that broken play and New Zealand looking dangerous, but all in all England's team play is pretty decent. In the second half, New Zealand carry on with their ineffectual tactic of running from deep, really don't like it. England rush up, make the tackles, and Henry Slade has a great counter-ruck opportunity but just doesn't bother. That was pretty annoying right there on 42. Anyway, on 44 minutes, New Zealand have Tuipulotu on in the second row, and goodness me, he looks fresh, makes a massive impact. He's staying in that 23, that's for sure. But then a massive moment in the game. They're on the attack. Tuipulotu, like I said, going over the gain line, but Ratimer hesitates because Marcus Smith has come up in the face in the defence, but he gives the pass anyway. Ratimer gives the pass anyway, and Smith goes, thank you very much, intercepts, goes 60 metres, runs out of gas, but stays a cool head, which is a mark of his maturity now. Normally he would have kicked that away, I think, but he waits, times a pass perfectly for Furbank, then Fawebusu, who shows good pace to outstrip Jordan. Good counter-attack try, but crazy stuff from Ratimer as well. But England, they're in the lead, 19-14. Just after that, I make a note that I really like the discipline from England's defence, but I don't like the way they're so desperate to shut off the outside door when it's not needed, and it just creates small openings, but New Zealand not quite taking them. And another thing that's helping England is New Zealand's line-out is all over the place. You've got Asifat Umua on, and his jumpers and he are completely not in sync, and the ball goes to ground a good few times there. That definitely helps. On 54 minutes, England have a good chance to maul into the 22, but they don't play the ball in time, and Scott Barrett turns it over. I mean, this game is on a knife edge. Who can execute? England actually don't really get their maul going in this game, didn't use it as a weapon, decided to kick at goal a lot instead. Let me know if you think that was a mistake. But yeah, 55 minutes, guess what? New Zealand still running from deep and still getting collared, this time by Tom Curry, and Jordan flings the ball forward and England are on the attack again. They go for a high bomb from the free kick and it nearly pays off. I mean, goodness me, such fine margins. But New Zealand counter-attack and actually create a score for Beauden Barrett, but it comes back because it is a deliberate knock-on. Pretty obvious. Not sure why the ref didn't give it, but the TMO spots it. So it's a penalty. They stretch the lead. 22-14. Lovely strike from Marcus Smith. Again, goal kicking right up there. And England start to roll on the subs, try and get fresh legs on the park, but actually the game breaks up and they lose control at this point. So let me know what you think happens there. But Randall comes on. It doesn't quite happen for him. Ford comes on a bit later and it doesn't happen for him. But anyway, 20 minutes to go, still liking the England line speed. A bit forced on shutting off the edge for sure, but still up in their face. Barrett, Satiti, they're getting offloading. They're going forward. It's looking dangerous, but then a really good tackle from Marcus Smith and a good jackal from the freshman, Ben Curry. That was a big play, but they're just holding on. They can't get control. Feiwabusu is getting some good counter-attack, making some breaks, but they just can't get hold of the ball for a decent period of time. Kane with the jackal now as the game breaks up, and they're living dangerously. They're hanging on. George Ford is on, but again, he can't gain control. We've got Baxter and Cole on, and the scrum starts to break down. That was a big problem there. And you can only hang on for so long, and Bernal gives away a penalty for a no-arms tackle. So that's 22-17, the lead down to 5. And more of the same from New Zealand, attacking from their own half and mucking up the line-outs, but that scrum is coming back. But England just cannot get their foot on this ball, cannot slow it down, cannot camp in the New Zealand half. And the momentum is with New Zealand. And then that scrum that's struggling gets pinged a couple of times and New Zealand should be walking it in. But Rieko Ioane inexplicably doesn't give a massive overlap pass. He does this sometimes. I don't know why. For me, he's not a natural centre. He's a finisher and he wanted to finish. So that's a horror one. I definitely would have Proctor there in an outside centre. I've said it before. I will say it again. But then comes the decisive try and it's Mark Talea. And I have to say it. George Ford, an absolute shocker of a tackle, just pathetic. He goes in, head up, grabby, just absolute rubbish. For a winger, you just go in, pile in low and try and smash him into touch. I think Marcus Smith would have made a better attempt at this tackle for sure. George Ford goes in high and gets handed off. Just pathetic stuff. Got to say it how it is. Really at fault there. 22-24. Great wide conversion from McKenzie. Kicking like a dream. With a few minutes to go, England are just within one penalty. But we know New Zealand love giving away penalties, especially with tackles off the ball. Anton Leonard-Brown gets in loads of trouble. Could be sent off twice for yellow cards. The ref picks one. He's down to 14. It's not an easy shot at goal. 40 metres on a slight angle. And Ford hits the post. You think it's all over, as Razor Robertson does as well. But Tuipulotu knocks it on and England get a scrum. But the problem is England can't scrum at the moment. They get absolutely annihilated, but somehow Randall flings it out. It's very messy, but they get a decent drop goal position, but it's a loopy pass from Randall and Ford slices it wide. So 22-24. I think it's about right. England play decently. They're a good team. We know they are, but New Zealand are more dangerous. I think there were some poor selection decisions in that game. We've talked about it before. England should be winning at least one or two of these 3 games against New Zealand, but they're coming up short and they need to improve just a bit. There's some good stuff, there's some poor stuff for both teams. Let me know what you thought down below in the comments. So much to pick from, and I'll be back very soon, I think, with an England player ratings, because this is a really exciting game and it's all fresh in my head. Anyway, thanks for watching and I'll catch you later.